Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this morning's headlines. Expelled Pakistani High Commission staffer Mahmood Akhtar claims 16 other mission staffers involved in espionage ring. Crime branch raiding places in Rajasthan to apprehend locals who gave documents to Akhtar. Jammu and Kashmir government orders closure of all 400 border schools due to increased Pakistani shelling. State government asks authorities to enhance vigil after increasing incidents of burning down of schools. US warns citizens of increased ISIS threat at popular spots in India. American Embassy advisory asks its nationals to keep high level of vigilance. Battle for Mosul escalates. Iraqi troops encircle the northern Iraqi city, entering the city's doorsteps for the first time. Well, 8 civilians have been killed and 22 others injured in fresh ceasefire violations by Pakistan on Tuesday, causing the highest number of deaths on a single day in over 2 decades. Border security forces are reported to have destroyed 14 Pakistani posts in ferocious retaliatory fire. Here are the details.
8 people, including 2 children and 4 women, were killed and 22 injured on Tuesday as Pakistani troops targeted civilian areas along the border in Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistani rangers targeted Nowshera, Rajouri and Samba sectors, as well as forward posts and civilian areas in the Ramgarh sector. Indian forces also responded strongly, killing 2 Pakistani soldiers and destroying 14 posts.
एक सैनिक के साथ होती है। जब आप उसमें कुछ हासिल नहीं कर पाते हैं तो एक दूसरा ये तरीका अपनाया जाता है कि सिविलियन एरिया को टारगेट किया जाए। तो फायरिंग शुरू हुई है, उनको मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया जा रहा है एक एक मौका देने के बाद, और जब देखा जा रहा है कि ये अपनी हरकत से बाज नहीं आ रहे तो उनको हम बहुत कड़ा और मुंह तोड़ जवाब दे रहे हैं।
The state government ordered the closure of all 400 schools along the international border and the line of control in the Jammu region following increasing shelling by Pakistan.
इसमें बहुत डरे हुए हालात में सर हमारे।
कौन से एरिया में फायरिंग हो रही है
सर? पूरा नियर सेक्टर जितने बॉर्डर एरिया सभी बॉर्डर एरिया में हो रही है सर। इस समय
हालात खराब हैं,
बहुत खराब है सर हालात।
जहाँ पे सुबह की फायरिंग हो रही है हम लोग काफी सहमे हुए हैं, बाहर भी निकल लोगों के काफी हालात खराब हैं।
Home Minister Rajnath Singh reviewed the border situation at a meeting in Delhi. It was attended by Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Army Chief General Dalbir Singh Suhag and other top officials. He called for a fitting reply to the Pak firing.
नहीं, निश्चय ही निंदनीय है जिस प्रकार की सिविलियन किलिंग्स हो रही हैं। ना ही ये युद्ध समय के आचरण के अनुकूल है, ना ही ये मानव व्यवहार के अनुकूल है।
India also protested to Pakistan over unprovoked firing from across the border. India's Deputy High Commissioner in Pakistan was summoned for the 4th time in just over a week over alleged unprovoked ceasefire violations. Deputy High Commissioner J.P. Singh protested against Pakistani shelling, saying it was primarily to give cover to infiltrators. He also mentioned the killing of civilians on the Indian side.
पाकिस्तान पूरा डेस्परेट है और सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक के बाद जिस तरीके की उनकी हालत बनी हुई है, अपने देश में भी और पूरे दुनिया में आइसोलेट हुआ है, एक्सपोज हुआ है, और वो इस प्रकार की हरकत कर रहा है। यहाँ तक कि जिस प्रकार से आर्मी के ऊपर या आर्मी के हमारे जवानों की डेड बॉडीज़ को उन्हें जो है क्षति पहुँचाई है, और वो जनीवा जो कन्वेंशन है उसको भी वायलेशन कर रहा है, वो बिल्कुल टेररिस्ट स्टेट है।
3 infiltration bids by heavily armed terrorists were also foiled since Saturday in the Hiranagar sector. Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police K. Rajendra Kumar visited the border areas of Jammu on Tuesday and urged security agencies to remain extra vigilant on the border. Close to 70 ceasefire violations have taken place in a month after India conducted surgical strikes on terror launch pads in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Jammu and Kashmir Governor met Home Minister Rajnath Singh on Tuesday to discuss the issue of reopening of schools in the unrest-hit valley. In an effort to restore normalcy in the valley, the centre has urged the state government to ensure reopening of schools at the earliest, which have remained closed due to violence and strike called by separatists since July. Here's more.
The centre on Tuesday asked the Mehbooba Mufti government to make efforts to reopen schools closed for over 3 months due to the unrest in the valley. The Home Ministry also directed the state government to notify over 500 schools to conduct board examinations as per schedule.
अपने बच्चों को उन्होंने दिल्ली, बंगलौर और बड़े बड़े शहरों में रखा और गरीब के बच्चे को पत्थरबाज बनाया। अपने बच्चों को देश और विदेश के सर्वश्रेष्ठ शिक्षा संस्थानों में तालीम के लिए भेजा और गरीब के बच्चे के लिए जो सरकारी स्कूल था उसको जलाने की प्रक्रिया में सहयोग दिया, समर्थन दिया। एक बार भी उसकी निंदा नहीं की। वो स्वयं बेनकाब हो गए हैं।
Meanwhile, the police has claimed to have arrested 12 people out of 35 identified in torching of school buildings in South Kashmir.
जो SITs हैं इनको टाइम बाउंड तरीके से इन्वेस्टिगेशन करने के आदेश दिए जा चुके हैं। अनंतनाग पुलिस ने अभी कल गिरफ्तारियां कुछ कर ली हैं। अब गिरफ्तारियां हो रही हैं जो लोग उसमें मुलविस असल में है। हमारी कोशिश ये है कि जो कोई बेगुनाह है जिसका नाम कहीं ऐसे आ गया है उसको हम नहीं वो चाहते हैं।
On Monday, the Jammu and Kashmir High Court directed police and civil administration to ensure full protection of educational institutions. It also took suo motu cognizance of reports that 26 schools were burnt down. In the wake of the High Court rap, the state authorities held a high-level meeting and came up with a number of decisions to enhance vigil and a directive to the police to speed up probe. Education institutions in the valley are closed since July 9th after clashes broke out following the killing of militant Burhan Wani. Meanwhile, normal life remained affected due to ongoing unrest that entered the 116th day on Tuesday. Security has been tightened amid rampant exchange of fire across the border between India and Pakistan. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the United States has asked its citizens in India to keep high level of vigilance, citing reports indicating that terror outfit Islamic State desires to attack targets in India. An advisory issued by the American Embassy in New Delhi warned its citizens of an increased threat in places frequented by Westerners in the country. The advisory says, and I quote, "Recent Indian media reports indicate ISIL's desire to attack targets in India. The US Embassy warns of an increased threat to places in India frequented by Westerners such as religious sites, markets and festival venues. All US citizens are reminded to maintain a high level of vigilance and take appropriate steps to increase their security awareness," unquote. Meanwhile, the Pakistan High Commission employee who was recently expelled by India for spying had named 16 other staffers who were also allegedly involved in the espionage ring. Now, the expelled staffer, Mahmood Akhtar, was jointly interrogated by the Delhi police and intelligence agencies. Akhtar claimed 16 other employees of the diplomatic mission were in touch with spies for extracting sensitive information and documents pertaining to Army and BSF deployment. His claims are still being verified, and if found to be true, the police might write to the Ministry of External Affairs to take the matter forward. Crime branch teams are raiding various places in Rajasthan to apprehend the locals who are providing confidential documents and information to Akhtar. 2 teams of crime branch are currently in Rajasthan along with the other arrested accused to seek details of paramilitary personnel who might be involved in leaking information to them. 2 persons have also been detained in Rajasthan and are currently being questioned. Samajwadi Party's Rajya Sabha MP Munawar Salim's personal assistant Farhad Khan was also arrested last week in connection with the espionage racket. Now moving on to the latest on the Simi under trials encounter in Madhya Pradesh. Responding to opposition as well as media's questions on the nature of the encounter, Minister of State for Home Kiran Rijiju said that it wasn't right to question the police on the incident. The probe will be handled by the Madhya Pradesh CID, but the families of the dead men are seeking a CBI probe. Meanwhile, the National Human Rights Commission has issued notices to Madhya Pradesh government, police and prison authorities over the alleged killings. Here's a report.
A day after the 8 Simi activists were killed in an alleged police encounter in Bhopal, their family members are demanding a CBI probe into the incident. Calling the killing cold-blooded murders, the families will approach the Madhya Pradesh High Court for an inquiry. An eyewitness has meanwhile claimed that he was alerted by the Madhya Pradesh police in the morning about the jailbreak.
हम पीछा 1.5 किलोमीटर करते करते यहाँ तक लाए इनको। इनके हाथों में सफेद में वो लाठी थी, कपड़े टंगे थे पीठ पे पुलिस आ गई थी 25-30 मिनट में।
कितने बजे की तकरीबन ये
9 बजे 8 बजे का किस्सा है ये।
सवा 8-9
हाँ, गाड़ी नहीं देखी थी वो तो, हम फिर वहाँ से 1.5 किलोमीटर जहाँ तक आए, फिर पुलिस आ गई। पुलिस ने चेतावनी दी उनको कि आप सरेंडर कर दो, तैयार नहीं हुए।
Accusing opposition parties of playing politics over the killing of men, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan described the dead men as dreaded terrorists. He also announced a 10 lakh rupees compensation to the family of the head constable who was killed.
मुझे पता नहीं कि राजनीति कैसी हो गई है। हमारे देश के ही कुछ ऐसे नेता, उनको शहीदों की शहादत दिखाई नहीं देती, उनको रमाशंकर यादव का बलिदान दिखाई नहीं देता। यही आतंकवादी थे जिन्होंने पहले रतलाम में सिर प्रताप कुशवाहा की हत्या की।
Responding to the controversy, Union Minister Kiran Rijiju said the police or forces should not be questioned merely on the basis of a video clip.
First of all, we should stop this habit of raising doubts and questioning the authorities and the police. This is not a good culture. What we are observing in India is that people have developed this habit of raising unnecessary doubts and questions. Facts will come out.
Meanwhile, it was reported that the National Investigation Agency will inquire into the security lapses on the part of the jail authorities. The 8 semi-activists were killed in an alleged encounter with police on the outskirts of Bhopal on Monday morning after they allegedly escaped from the high security central jail. The police disclosed that the under trials killed a head constable using sharpened steel plates and spoons. A security guard also suffered serious injuries. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, opposition parties have also questioned the encounter. Several parties have demanded a judicial investigation into the encounter, while the Congress General Secretary Digvijay Singh has said it was curious how only the Simi men escaped prison and were killed.
कहीं ना कहीं गड़बड़ है, और गड़बड़ जो अगर है तो जांच होनी चाहिए। अब वो कह रहे हैं कि पुलिस की जांच पुलिस ही करेगी, एनआईए करे, ठीक बात है, लेकिन एनआईए जांच एनकाउंटर की करे। जेल से कैसे भागी इसकी जांच वो क्यों करेगी एनआईए? उसकी जांच तो जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी होना चाहिए।
This appears to be very mysterious. How could they escape first? How could they get firearms if at all there was encounter and they fired at police? How could they get firearms? All these questions need to be answered. And above all, how the videos could be made, and it is not one video.
इसकी जांच होनी चाहिए कि फेक इनकाउंटर है कि जेन्युइन इनकाउंटर है, इसमें संदेह है।
Serious questions needs to be answered. Now, there must be, we believe, our party, the CPIM feels, that there must be a time-bound judicial inquiry into the killings, because there are some disturbing inconsistencies in the versions given by the state government, the police and the various forms of administration.
कई सवाल खड़े हुए हैं। आईजी प्रिजन का बयान यह है कि इन लोगों के एक्सचेंज ऑफ फायर की वजह से हमने उनको मार डाला, क्योंकि उन्होंने हम पर हमला किया, पुलिस वालों पर, और पुलिस वालों ने उन पर, और एनकाउंटर के दौरान ये 8 की मौत हो गई। जबकि गृह मंत्री मध्य प्रदेश के कहते हैं कि उनके पास हथियार नहीं थे। अब सवाल ये पैदा होता है कि अगर ये लोग जेल से भागे हैं तो 10 सवाल खड़े होते हैं। पहला तो ये कि इन्होंने किसी एक गार्ड को मारा, तो क्या जेल में एक ही गार्ड था?
President Pranab Mukherjee will embark today on a 3-day visit to neighbouring Nepal. He will be the first Indian president to visit in 18 years. He will be received by President Vidya Devi Bhandari in Kathmandu today. A formal meeting between the two has also been scheduled. The president will hold talks with political leadership there, besides visiting historical temples of Pashupatinath. Nepalese Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal will also host a dinner for the President Mukherjee. The visit is significant as it is the first state visit from India after the months-long blockade that had begun due to agitation for greater political space for the Madeshis of Nepal's plains. There's a look at what else is slated to make news during the course of the day in our segment, The Day Ahead. Home Minister Rajnath Singh will address a press conference on Asian Ministerial Conference for Disaster Risk Reduction at National Media Centre in New Delhi today. The three-day conference is starting from tomorrow in collaboration with the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction and will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Ministers responsible for disaster risk reduction in 61 countries will meet to share their best practices in handling various calamities and to deal with future emergencies together. Bilateral talks between Indian and Sri Lankan fishermen will be held in New Delhi today. Around 13 fishermen representatives from Tamil Nadu and 3 to 4 fishermen representatives from Union Territory of Puducherry are expected to attend the meeting. The Sri Lankan side will be represented by an equal number of fishermen. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will meet her Sri Lankan counterpart Mangala Samaravira and Lankan Fisheries Minister Mahinda Amaravira on November 5th to solve the recurring dispute over the arrest of fishermen. Odisha Congress leaders will meet Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi in New Delhi today. 22 party district presidents of 33 organizational districts will meet Congress Vice President to discuss matters regarding the party organization and panchayat polls. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reiterated the need to prevent female feticides while addressing a huge gathering in Haryana on Tuesday. Speaking at an official function to celebrate the Golden Jubilee of the state's formation in Gurugram, the Prime Minister called upon the people to take a pledge to protect the girl child. He also lauded the steps taken by Haryana government towards improving the adverse sex ratio. He also took an opportunity to thank the elders and mothers of Haryana who took upon themselves to protect the girl child and helped in improving the sex ratio. While addressing the gathering, he added that Haryana and its people have the potential to steer the country forward and act as its growth engine.
इस स्वर्णिम जयंती में हर हरियाणी संकल्प करे कि बेटी बचाने के मामले में अब हरियाणा में कोई कोताही नहीं बरती जाएगी, न बच्ची को मारने दिया जाएगा। बच्चियों को जन्म देने का अधिकार की रक्षा हर हरियाणवी करेगा। इससे बड़ा स्वर्णिम जयंती का कोई अवसर नहीं हो सकता।
Well, Prime Minister Modi on Tuesday also pitched for the empowerment of the poor in Chhattisgarh, saying skilled youth can pull themselves out of poverty and help fuel the engine of growth. Modi, who was on a visit to Chhattisgarh to inaugurate the state's 16th Foundation Day, unveiled the statue of Jansangh ideologue Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Modi said that states like Chhattisgarh, which have the potential for ecotourism, can generate employment by investing little capital in its development. Besides inaugurating the Jungle Safari Park in Naya Raipur, he had dedicated the BRTS developed under the public transport service facility between Raipur and Naya Raipur. Modi also dedicated the 2-kilometer-long Ektam path constructed between Naya Raipur railway station and Capital Complex.
मैं आज सुबह जब से आया हूं, हर जगह पर जाकर के योजनाओं को देख रहा था। बड़े मन को प्रभाव पैदा करने वाली योजनाओं से रचना हुई है। निर्माण कार्य उत्तम हुआ है और आज नहीं जब 50 साल के बाद कोई छत्तीसगढ़ आएगा, नया रायपुर देखेगा, एकांत पथ देखेगा, तो उसे लगेगा कि हिंदुस्तान का एक छोटा सा राज्य भी क्या कमाल कर सकता है, आदिवासी इलाका भी कैसी एक नई रौनक ला सकता है। इसका संदेश आज एक प्रकार से शिलान्यास हुआ।
Well, here's a look at what else is making news across the country and nationwide. The centre has on Tuesday cleared 10 names for the Delhi and Guwahati High Courts, even as it set in motion the process for the Supreme Court Collegium to consider names for 8 others as judges. The files have been sent to the President for final nod. The government is also considering recommendations for 35 judges in the Allahabad High Court. Earlier on Friday, the Supreme Court had made a scathing attack on the government for not appointing the High Court judges despite the recommendations of its collegium long ago. Well, the Congress Party's poll strategist Prashant Kishore, along with Samajwadi Party leader Amar Singh, held a 2-hour meeting with Samajwadi Party Supremo Mulayam Singh Yadav on Tuesday. The meeting was to discuss the possibility of an alliance with secular parties to prevent the split of Muslim votes ahead of the Uttar Pradesh Assembly polls due early next year. Kishore had managed Nitish Kumar's successful Assembly poll campaign for Bihar last year. Kerala has become the third open defecation-free state in the country. The announcement was made on the state's foundation day on Tuesday. Earlier, Himachal Pradesh and Sikkim had declared themselves open defecation-free. Gujarat, Haryana and Uttarakhand will reportedly be announcing themselves as ODF soon. Retirement fund body EPFO on Tuesday has issued guidelines to its field offices to settle death claims within 7 days and retirement cases before a worker retires from the job. The guidelines have been issued to sensitize them and to take prompt and proactive action to settle the claims and cases before the day of retirement. It also stressed upon the grievance on social media need to be replied to expeditiously. Moving on to some international news now. In a jolt to Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, the country's Supreme Court on Tuesday ordered a probe into the Panama Papers scandal involving corruption allegations against his family. A 5-member bench headed by the Pakistan Chief Justice conducted the hearing in presence of several ministers, lawyers, senior PTI leaders and media, and said that it was ready to appoint a probe commission headed by a judge and armed with powers of the Supreme Court. Nawaz Sharif is already under pressure from Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf to step down. According to the Panama Papers documents, 3 of Sharif's 4 children are owners of offshore companies. Sharif and his family have dismissed the allegations of money laundering and denied any wrongdoing. Well, the battle for Mosul is expected to escalate significantly as Iraqi troops have encircled the northern Iraqi city, entering the city's doorsteps for the first time. They have begun an assault from outside, but they are facing fierce resistance from about 5,000 to 7,000 IS militants who are holed up inside the city. IS group is also using civilians as human shields and killing them, indicating that the battle is expected to be fought street to street or even house to house.
نحاول نغلق على داعش من كل مكان وإن شاء الله نقطع رأس الأفعى. أنا يعني أنبئ جميع المواطنين في نينوى وفي الموصل بالذات أنه سنقطع رأس داعش. هؤلاء الأبطال سيقطعون رأس داعش.
A chilling warning to around 5,000 Islamic State militants who are holed up in Mosul, as Iraqi forces have for the first time entered the outskirts of the city. Encountering snipers, landmines and road-blocking boulders and an attack by machine guns and sniper fire, the Iraqi army is marching on to begin the final assault to retake the northern city from Islamic State. On Tuesday, the army retook Bazwaya, the last village before Mosul's eastern outskirts, and then advanced on the Kukjali industrial zone, ultimately raising the Iraqi flag over eastern areas on the outskirts of Mosul.
دخلت إلى محطة تلفزيون الموصل، ومحطة تلفزيون الموصل تعني الكثير، يعني مدينة الموصل، وهذه بشرى إلى أهالي الموصل بأنه بدأت عملية تحرير الفعلية لمدينة الموصل.
About 50,000 Iraqi security forces personnel, Kurdish fighters, Sunni Arab tribesmen and Shia militiamen are involved in the 2-week-old offensive to drive IS militants out of their last major urban stronghold in the country. However, they are coming under attack by the IS from different directions with a number of different weapons. The troops are responding with heavy weapons and also by calling in airstrikes by the US-led coalition. Experts warn that entering Mosul will likely trigger the fiercest fighting scene yet in the offensive. As Mosul is encircled, UN also expressed concern for the safety of the 1.5 million civilians estimated to be living there.
We have further reports of mass killings by ISIL. There are also reports that ISIL has been threatening relatives of people that they suspect are supporting the Iraqi security forces.
The battle for Mosul is seen as one of the most significant in the fight against Islamic State. The city is the terror group's Iraqi stronghold and is considered the jewel of its self-proclaimed caliphate. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Here's a roundup of the other international news and world wrap. Crown Prince Maha Vajiralongkorn is to be confirmed as the new king of Thailand next month. BBC reports that on the 1st of December, he is expected to endorse a new military drafted constitution and to start appointing his own team of senior royal officials. His father, King Bhumibol Adulyadej, the world's longest reigning monarch, died on the 13th of October. The government has declared a year-long official mourning period. North Korea is preparing to launch an intermediate-range ballistic missile within the next 3 days, says the United States. The officials say that the communist nation has planned the launch for missiles between 24 and 72 hours. It would be the latest in a series of launches by the isolated country this year in violation of UN Security Council resolutions. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon has sacked the commander of the UN force in South Sudan. This came after a report said that UN troops failed to protect civilians when fighting broke out in July in Juba between the forces of President Salva Kiir and soldiers loyal to rival Riek Machar. In the fighting, a local journalist was killed and 8 workers in the area were raped. French President François Hollande has said that no one will be allowed back in the dismantled jungle camp at Calais now that it has been cleared of thousands of refugees. The final shelters were destroyed on Monday after an operation to move some 7,000 people to centers elsewhere in France. Hollande also said that 1,500 unaccompanied minors who were staying at the camp would be taken to dedicated reception centers where their cases could be investigated individually. Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a good day.